Evie Kim Sing, editor of IdentityWeek.net. Today we're going to be catching up with Rita Gurevich, who is the founder of Sphere, a really valuable partner for us at Identity Week America, our show that's just passed in Washington, DC. And we chat today to find out a bit more about the company and what you've been doing over the last few months. But I know your focus has been in particular your identity, visibility, and intelligence platform, and how that kind of optimizes the typical IM PAM strategies that we're seeing across lots of businesses and use cases. Could you just explain to me how that platform is changing the way that enterprises think about their security, identity governance, and optimizing those strategies?
Well, first of all, it's very exciting that IVIP, which is Identity, Visibility, and Intelligence Platforms, that's a mouthful, that's become front and center, not just from the customer lens in terms of their requirements, but also from the broader analyst community. And Gartner just called this an emerging category, and we got placed right smack in the middle of it. So that's very exciting and rewarding as a founder and CEO. But if we actually talk about the meat and potatoes of what that means, the way we see it is that IVIP fundamentally shifts identity programs from a tool-centric implementation to more of an outcome-driven execution. So if you take that one step further, instead of deploying IAM, PAM, and IGA in silos and hoping they converge later, IVIP provides that unified identity-first lens that shows companies what they actually have, how identities and privileges are related, and where the real risk exists. And what this does is it allows organizations to prioritize their controls, to sequence rollouts more intelligently, and it allows them to continuously optimize rather than treating identity as a one-time project. So the results are fabulous. You have faster time to value, you have fewer blind spots, and identity investments stay aligned with risk as environments evolve.
And what innovations is Sphere prioritizing in this area to consolidate the platform as a distinct category? You mentioned it's getting that kind of image now and reputation as a unique category.
So what we're focused on today is taking what we've done in terms of automation and going a lot deeper. I have to say AI. You don't mean much if you don't talk about AI, and that's the direction many of us in industry are going. But we're focusing on using that in smart ways, better analytics, and scale across the entire IVIP lifecycle. So this includes expanding intelligent discovery across cloud and hybrid environments, more coverage, more sources, advancing how we do identity risk modeling, and also increasing more and more capabilities around who's the owner, who's the human, and how do we take advantage of that human's tribal knowledge to drive remediation faster. And on the platform side, for us, what we're focusing on, we're investing heavily in our SaaS platform. There's a lot of PR that's going to come out about that in probably a quarter or two. And the intent of it is, again, to create broader adoption and allow us to innovate even faster than we already do. So collectively, these advancements for us are going to reinforce Sphere as a category leader within IVIP. And what we hope will happen is companies will start to see this as something that sits above individual identity tools and provides them that intelligence layer that they need to manage their identity risk more holistically.
Yeah, I wanted to go into that answer in two ways. I think you mentioned, AI as a tool to go hand in hand with identity governance. How does Sphere's automated ownership mapping, analytics, improve governance processes?
So, what we've learned is that one of the biggest blockers to effective governance is unclear ownership. So automated ownership mapping, it ties the identities, the accounts, the entitlements, and all the resources back to those accountable humans and teams. And what we've learned is that every bit of information that we collect across the environment is essentially a clue that you can take advantage of to start to understand those relationships and be able to expose the patterns that exist under the hood. And that is a huge focus of ours. And you can only imagine how well positioned AI is to take this to, I wouldn't even just say the next level, I would say to infinity and beyond. And you combine that with identity analytics, this essentially transforms how certifications and how reviews are done. And what we've learned is that companies have invested in great technologies to perform these capabilities that are absolutely critical for ongoing governance. But bad data in, bad data out. And that's where Sphere really becomes the glue, the nucleus in many ways, across all these different investments that companies have made. We help those technologies and the operators of those technologies have better clarity on what do they own? Why does that access exist? What's the downstream impact of a change that could happen? And also, what we've learned is that from a compliance perspective, this actually translates to faster audits, stronger evidence, and reporting that reflects real control, not just policy intent.
I think it's great that you're getting the recognition for this as well. Um, Finally, can you walk us through just how Sphere is integrating with the PAM? And you've covered this, but what improvements are customers typically seeing in the reduction of the risk with privileged access? Um,
Absolutely. So I would say historically, we focused on integration with PAM in two ways. One is taking advantage of all the information that lives in those technologies. So all of our risk analytics tell companies what they have and who owns it and what the blast radius might look like. But by pulling in information from these PAM solutions, you can actually start to say this high risk entitlement, this account over there, it's actually not protected in that PAM solution. It hasn't been onboarded yet. So providing that next level of visibility of where are you in your maturity? And on the flip side of it, and this is a big differentiator of ours compared to maybe others in this IVIP category, is we automate the remediation as well. So for the case of PAM, it's actually onboarding everything that needs to be onboarded effectively and at scale. And the steps we're taking further is very much going across thinking about not just protecting the credentials by making sure they're rotated in your PAM solutions, but also telling companies these are candidates for ephemeral access. Maybe you don't need standing access anymore at all. Maybe the concept of rotating the password works for a ton of instances, but there are plenty that you can take it yet a few steps further. So we're maturing as the PAM market is maturing as well and helping companies take advantage of these innovations that our incredible partners are making.
Rita, it's great to speak to you today. I know we're many months away still, but I hope we can see each other in DC this year again. Thanks again for your time.
Appreciate it. Thank you.